Am I happily child free? Yes, my partner Rick is too. So, in this video, we are open and honest about some of the reasons why we are so grateful for this decision. Let's dive in.
And we're up.
Hello.
Let's start again because I stepped on you. All right, ready?
Yeah.
Hold on a second. There's something floating over.
Start again.
All right, we're up.
Yes. Hello. I am excited about this video because we are talking about our reasons for not having children in no particular order. We're just going to chat about them. And we did this video. This was our first video that we posted ever. Top 5 reasons why we don't want kids. I don't know if we're going to do 5. We might do less. We might do more. We're just going to go with the flow on this one. I was thinking about it. It would be super interesting to obviously have you involved. I think that people really respect and admire you sharing your side of the story and your perspective. And maybe new things have come up in our lives. Who knows?
Of course. Well, it tends to happen that way, right?
Yeah.
Things tend to change. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting. It's the first YouTube video, we should say, you posted.
Yes.
And it really kicked off the whole child-free connection thing at that point.
It did.
I mean, it started with the Instagram as well.
Yeah.
And I want you to know I'm very excited about this as well, because that YouTube video highlighted both of our reasons.
We worked on the exercise together to come up with the reason.
But we didn't really dive in. So that's why we're doing this video. So we can dive in a little bit further on what they are and why.
And we had also come up with, I don't know if you remember that we had come up with such a long list, but we couldn't say like, here are our top 100 reasons.
Yeah, I know. It was
so
huge.
we narrowed it down to 5. So we'll just see what comes up this time.
So this is the 2023 version, 1 year later.
2023 version.
That's right.
Okay, so I thought that we would start with lifestyle because lifestyle is just so huge, right? It's our day-to-day, the way that our day-to-day goes and flows and what we're able to do. And we're both so super grateful about having this lifestyle.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a big one. I think that's what you see a lot of when you browse through all the child-free accounts is lifestyle. I like to start off by saying, obviously, there are a lot of perks, but there are challenges too. So just because we don't have kids doesn't mean that our lifestyle is better than anyone else's. And I know that's obvious, but sometimes front facing when you look at social media and the child-free accounts, including ours at sometimes, I'm not throwing any stones at any accounts or anything, but it can look like
we're jet setting.
We're jet setting. We're traveling. We're having all this fun
all day.
yeah. And the bottom line is,
which is the opposite.
Like any path you choose in life, whether that's to have kids or not have kids or other factors, there's challenges and there's perks. And we talk a lot about perks, but there's also challenges. And we can get into both a little bit.
I think for me, what I really appreciate about it is I don't like rushing. I don't like to rush. And I've seen with my friends and who have kids, and I've spent a lot of time with them. A few of my best friends have kids, and I love them. I love the kids, but I watch how much rushing there is. And I'm not saying that this is for every family, obviously, but there seems to be a lot going on at once. And it's interesting because I'm a multitasker, right? I've done a lot of things, even in my career, that there's a lot of things happening at once, and I'm really good at it. But when I see it with kids running around, changing after school, snack, get ready for baseball, all of that doesn't appeal to me.
I mean, obviously, that sounds like a lot.
Yeah, so I feel like I really enjoy being able to manage my time in a way that I'm not rushing. Now, that's not to say that I'm laying around doing nothing, because we've talked about many times that child-free people are also just as busy, if not busier, with responsibilities. So it just, the rushing around really gets to me.
Yeah, I can understand that. I don't know. We're not in that situation, so it's tough to determine how stressful that would be. I feel like I juggle a lot during the day we don't have kids, and that stresses me out. So I can only assume that if
Mhm.
we had kids, it would
Right.
be tenfold,
Right, but I think our assumption's on point. Like, think about even when we have to do certain things in a day, right? With our work, we're
Right,
shooting a YouTube video, we're doing a million other things, and then, for example, Eddie, our dog, gets sick.
right.
So that completely throws off our day because it's like, does he have to go to the vet? Do we need to, all that? And not that I'm comparing him with children, but even that small pet responsibility gets in the way of our routine and causes us major stress.
Yeah.
And that's really small. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's perspective from our angle, obviously, but it's how you manage it, right? At the end of the day, whether you have kids or you don't, I mean, it's how you manage it.
Yeah,
And
exactly. But I love that part of it. I love that part that I don't appreciate rushing around and being stressed 24/7.
yeah.
And the thing is, I do get very stressed, but I'm not stressed about I have to go here and then I have to go there and then I have to go here and then I have to go there. Yeah, I'm just not into it.
Yeah, it's so funny. I always tell you this story, but I have a friend of mine, and he was listing off all the daily things that he has to do
Yeah,
every single day with his kids, and one was older, one was younger. And I remember thinking, as he's telling me this story, like, wow, this is overwhelming. And I was like, should I ask him the question? I said, you know what? I'm just going to ask him. And I'm like, can I just say, from someone that doesn't have children, how do you do it? And his response just resonated with me. He just kind
yeah.
of looked up with this discerned look on his face, and he goes, you just dig deep. And I was just like,
Right.
ow, that, like, I don't know if that's something.
Right.
I
Like,
mean,
you
I
have
dig deep
to
enough just to stay afloat now. I can't imagine.
I know, and that's the thing, we talk about it all the time. We are we're doing so much that we always say, we post about it, we talk about it with our
Right,
community. How would we do this with kids? So,
right.
time management is one thing. Stress of just having not just stress, but all the rushing around that I was talking about. What's another lifestyle aspect of being child-free that you enjoy?
I mean, I say it all the time, but spontaneity,
Yeah,
for my lifestyle, spontaneity is the most important thing for me. I think it's my age too. Just because as we get older, we're all thinking, at least I am,
right.
that, there's a certain amount of days you have left. So I want to, I mean, I'm sorry, but it's true. You got to
Yeah,
keep that in perspective.
sure.
And I want to spend the days that I have left, and I
Mhm.
know I'm 51 and I'm relatively somewhat still young.
You are.
Um,
Not
but I
relatively
want to take
somewhat, you have a
advantage of
long
each
time.
one of those days and
Yeah,
fulfill that day with the best possible
experiences.
experience. So that would be a
Yeah,
word. Sure.
yeah, yeah,
So spontaneity is number one for me, and to be able to wake up and pivot and do what I want to do based on
right,
work and fun.
right, and it's also let's be clear, it doesn't mean that we can just take off from work for a week and fly to Europe and just travel around.
No,
Like, it's
no.
not always this big, huge thing. It's spontaneity. Like, I was talking to one of our community members the other day, and I was saying that for me, having the option or the time in my day to rearrange a drawer, to me, having the peace and quiet to do it, which I need to do actually, the I have 2 drawers that are a mess right now and that are driving
You
me
got to get
crazy.
on that.
I know, I do. So, having that, saying, like, today, "Oh, today I'm gonna do the 2 drawers," and not worry about, "Oh, are the kids gonna come home with too much homework? Do I have to help them with a project?" Or anything like that. Just little things. Little
Yeah,
things we really appreciate because I think people are always talking about the grandiose, we can get away for the weekend without a thought, we can travel whenever we want. Sure, but not everybody has the capability to do that. So I think that those little things that we're able to do, just like yesterday, you, me, and Eddie went for a very long walk. We took him to the park. We really took him everywhere and we wiped him out. And that was just fun to be able to decide last minute to do that.
yeah, that's an excellent point. Is the small little wins that you do day to day with your time
Yeah.
that aren't necessarily, to use your word, these grandiose experiences, traveling to France or whatnot. The bottom line is that is not the case. I think a lot of people watching this will relate. I like the fact that there's that option to do that
Yeah,
stuff.
sometimes, sure, but if it's
Financial,
yeah.
time-wise,
Mhm.
that all falls under
It's
spontaneity too.
available to us. Well, it's available to child-free people if they're able to, right? Because there's a financial component to it, there's a time component, a job component. If you have a job where you can absolutely not take that much time off, it's not available to you, right?
Right,
We happen to be I think that people also confuse our child-free status with the fact that we both work from home,
right.
because that also gives us a lot of freedom, in regards to our time and our day, because I've been working from home for a really long time, and what I found was that I know myself enough if I have a deadline, maybe today I wanna crush and I wanna work from 6 AM to 10 PM, and then tomorrow I wanna do something I wanna go on a really long hike and enjoy my day because I
Yeah,
know so that's nice, but that also comes with work from home. So a lot of people in our community cannot work from home, and that
sure.
option is not there for them, right?
Right.
But they do have the option of maybe on their walk back from work to stop at a cafe and have a snack or whatever they want. So,
I think
yeah.
there's something to be said, about having these options in your bank, in the
Mhm.
sense that if you have children, there are things that are limiting you in the sense of time.
Mhm.
And, also it could be financial, depending on, your status, some financial status, et cetera. But having those options in a bank waiting for us
Mhm.
to exercise at any
Mhm.
point, there's a lot of value there, even if you're not doing it a lot because you have a job, like you mentioned, nine to
Right.
five, where you're going in and out of the office.
Right.
When you're traveling to work and you're in the office, you know that if you want to take your vacation time and do this, it's not going to be this overwhelming logistical nightmare of organization with a
Right.
family.
Right.
That it's going to be, I'm taking my time, I'm going on vacation, and that's
Right.
more the lavish and kind of fun
Right.
part.
Right.
Or you're going to take a day off from work and you're going to rearrange your sock drawer, which you
Yeah.
need to do,
Right. Right.
and that's also rewarding in a sense.
Yeah,
Or
and that brings up a good point actually, is that when we plan vacations according to what we enjoy and what we want to do.
right,
Whereas perhaps someone who has little kids is not able to do that because the kids also have to have fun. So you have to think about them. So if we wanted to go to hike to Machu Picchu, we can do that. It might not be the best option if you're carrying a baby and a 1 year old.
right.
So there's different lifestyle perks when it comes to that as well, because we always choose to go to somewhere or do something that we both enjoy and we're just thinking about
Yeah.
ourselves. Yeah.
We're going to move on to the next topic, but I do want to just
Yeah.
mention one thing. And, there are a lot of child free they have a lot of other responsibilities, whether they're helping a loved one or
Yeah,
they
of
are tending
course.
to their
Caretaking.
their caretaking,
Mhm.
and their time and their flexibility and their lifestyle is limited. And
Right, but also I think what we're saying is their lifestyle, if you added children to that dynamic, it would be even harder.
yeah,
So I think that that's why people, although they have so much responsibility already, don't want more of it.
yeah. I
Mhm.
just realized now on this during this conversation
Yeah.
that banking my options gives me some sort of like peace and like knowing that at some point
Right.
I can exercise those options
Right.
without a lot of stress. I never really thought of it that way. That was an
Yeah.
epiphany.
Yeah, a lot of gratitude all over the place for
Yeah.
this.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. Personal development and spiritual growth. This
Yes.
one is
Big.
huge for me. All right, go ahead. You start.
Well, when you started so huge.
So for me it's huge because my personal development started recently.
Right.
I spent a good majority of my life in a career that kept me very busy. Um, didn't really get a chance to spend much time focusing on my personal and spiritual health, and it was ignored. And about 4 years ago, I made some radical changes. I won't go into it now, but I made some
Mhm.
radical changes in my life and I shifted my focus on that. So it's exciting to me, and that's why I reacted that way, because this
Right.
is, in a sense, a very new venture for me and has brought me so much happiness and peace.
Yeah. Can you
Um,
be a little more specific as far as what you have done to bring you to elevate your spiritual awareness and personal growth?
sure. I mean, I think the first thing was to really look at myself and understand that in order to change, you're going to have to let this defensive guard down,
Yeah.
become vulnerable, open
Mhm.
yourself up,
Mhm.
seek assistance, be that therapy or friendship,
Mhm.
friends, etc.,
Yeah.
and really become self-aware of what the issues you have and that you're dealing with are,
Mhm.
and be honest to yourself. I ignored them.
Right.
I was, having success in my career, and at that time it felt right, and I just thought, why do I need to work on myself if things are going so well? But internally I was not doing well. So it took a lot of work, and the thing about change that I realized quickly going into this is it's not quick. A lot of people want to change for the better, and they think it's, let me just change, eliminate some of these negative things in my life, that's friends or whether that's alcohol or whatever it happens to be, and all
Mhm.
of a sudden my life is going to turn, it's going to start to get better. That's not the case, as we all know. And one thing that really allowed me to take comfort in my spiritual and mental growth was that knowing the fact that I was going to spend the rest of my life managing it and just trying to be a better person each day. And I know
Yeah.
it sounds cliche and a lot of people say that, but when you really go through it and you do the work and
Yeah.
you focus on that, um, it's just become my top priority.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it's interesting because for you, even though you were child free, you didn't, and that's why we're talking about our personal reasons,
Mhm.
right? Like, even though you were child free when you were super successful and your career was amazing, but you still weren't feeling great inside, like you just mentioned, you didn't, even though the space was there for you to have this personal development and this growth, you opted out of it, right? So I think now I see you, I've seen you go through it, that you are making space for it now and that you're grateful that you have this space to
Sure.
work on
Yeah.
yourself, right?
Well, it starts with making space for it. You have to prioritize it.
Right, right.
And I wonder, I don't know, but I do wonder if I did have children, if I could have spent the time to say, okay, I want to change. I'm going to focus on this. I'm going to do the research. I'm going to read the books. I'm going to go to therapy. I'm going to do all these things.
Right,
And I'm going to apply my time, my money towards achieving that.
right.
I don't
I
know
mean,
if
we
I
don't
could
know
have
that
done it.
answer,
I know
right?
we don't
Well,
know, but I have to bring it up. I do think about it, whether or not, if
yeah.
I had children, if it would have set back that. I think I eventually would have gotten there, but
Yeah, it's we don't know,
we don't.
but
We
we
don't know.
appreciate that we have the time, and I think that with both of us, because 'cause I'm in the same boat, right? We've both been in therapy, and we've both worked on ourselves, and we always joke around that if we met when we were younger, it would have never
It would have
worked
been a
because we were
disaster.
such hot
Oh my
messes.
god. We wouldn't have made it.
I
That would
know,
have been
there's no way.
sad.
Yeah, we wouldn't have made it. But
Imagine we didn't make it and then you married someone and then they wanted kids and you ended up having a kid or vice versa.
well, no, because just because someone else wanted the kids doesn't mean that I would want
Oh, right.
them.
We talk about
Yeah.
that.
I was solid
That's
in my
what your program's all
yeah,
about. It's
I was
child free
very
from.
solid in my decision, so there was no way anybody was gonna swoop in and, like, convince me to have children.
All
But
right. I should say that if anyone were going to do that, it'd be me, right? Just,
no, I was like, you wouldn't be able to convince me either.
you don't think so? If I was going to walk?
No.
All right.
You're
We're
giving
gonna we're gonna
yourself you're
we're
giving yourself too much
we're gonna
credit.
cut this out. Okay, keep going. All right, so yeah,
So, yeah, I think that for both of us, since we both need so much therapy and so much work and so many conversations, and we do all the things to make ourselves move forward. I mean, sometimes I just feel like I want to lay there with like a million crystals on me. But when our friends come over, like we ask her, like when Jess comes over, we want Reiki. Like we're just all about it. And it's also important for the work that we're doing here with our community, right? Because it's so important to have empathy and to see everyone's point of view and to understand where parents are coming from and to understand that not every child-free person is the same. We use all our tools and all the work that we've done to really be open,
Yeah.
have an open heart and an open mind, and I think that allows us to continue to do that work that we're doing because we're just so passionate about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've learned so much just from the comments and the DMs and the
Same.
conversations that you've had with members of your community.
Yeah.
Just hearing all that has really opened my eyes and given me a full different perspective.
Right.
And some of it's great and some of it's not great. Like, just to be clear, like, I mean, there's a lot of confusion out there. There's a lot of concern about, am I making the right decision? Am I going to regret this?
Mhm.
And so on and so forth. And the great thing about your program is that it lays that groundwork and it allows the members to really go deep and discover whether this is right for them, because it is so important to do that.
Right, exactly, and I'm just guiding them through.
Right.
Ultimately, like, we have to make our own decisions, but, I mean, so far, the results have been amazing, and I'm so
I'm
excited,
very
but
proud of you with that, by the way. I just got to throw
thank you.
some love your
Alright, we're
way.
getting off topic.
Yeah.
So the next thing I wanna discuss is the cost of raising a child, and this is huge for so many people in our community, for ourselves included. It was definitely one of the reasons why we didn't wanna have kids, and it's interesting because this reason gets criticized a lot
Right.
because and I've talked about it before because it's seen as my personal experience with this has been that people say to me, specifically parents, that when I would worry about finances and giving them a life financially, giving the kids a life that I wanted to give them, people would say, "You work it out. You just work it out. It's
That
fine."
sounds like,
And
I
it's
don't want to work it out when it comes to
I know, and
going,
it's
like,
right.
maybe possibly financially struggling.
Right, exactly, and I knew that I was gonna work hard, I knew that I wanted to be successful and I can get myself there, but I didn't know that I didn't know 1,000% that I was gonna be able to work it out in the way that I would want it to work it out. And it wasn't a lack of ability, right? I think that I can work out most things in my life. But again, it comes back to choice. So I didn't want to have that financial worry. And I think that people were not able to respect that as a reason because, of course, they thought I was being selfish. And to an extent, I was. And we talk about this all the time. Like, everyone is selfless and selfish. So we decide on what we want to do. If someone decides that they want to have a mini me and they can't wait, hopefully they'll also be a dancer like they were. Like, those are all very selfish perspectives and thoughts and ideas, and that's fine, right? You're thinking about yourself, you're thinking what is going to bring you the most joy. And for me, I knew that I wanted to focus on my career. What about you?
Financial was huge for me. Let me ask you this.
Mhm.
If they had a college course called Life Choices
Mhm.
and they focused on all the decisions you need to make, the big decisions in life,
Right. Like getting
buying
married.
a
Are you gonna
house,
get married? Are you gonna
getting
buy a
married,
house?
and they
Which job are you
really
gonna take?
yeah, and they really weighed the pros and cons in these choices to help prepare you for what to expect based off of data, right? How much of the course would include a financial section? Would that be a big part, a small part, or a medium part? What do you think?
When it comes to having children or just
When
in
it comes to having
general?
children,
Oh, when it
you're
comes
going through
to
choices, having children, not having children,
oh,
and the
oh,
financial implications
of
of
what that looks
of
like.
both, right?
Right. I mean, I would assume it would have to be
It would
huge.
be huge, I would
Yeah,
say. It'd be a big part.
yeah.
And this is why I brought it up, because I never heard, have you done a financial roadmap
Right,
for your children? You
right,
hear about kids' college funds. I get that, but that's pretty much all I heard
right,
was, you got to save up for the college fund. What
right.
about all
What
the
about
stuff in between?
everything more?
I never got that, you know? So
Right,
the reason why
right.
it's such a big deal is because, and it's all relative, so it's tough to talk about finances because some people can afford to have kids and have someone take care of the kids, or
Right.
it's not as big of a stress as
Right. I
some.
think we're just talking about the general financial responsibility just to have a child.
Right, but I
Yeah.
think it begs the question, why is this not brought up, whether it's amongst
Enough.
friends or families
Yeah.
or even in school, as the
Right.
example that I
Yeah,
gave?
you're right. You're completely right because it is swept under the rug,
Totally
right?
swept under the rug.
There's still to this day, I just had a conversation with a friend 2 days ago who, and I shared this with you, who told me that their teenage daughter just got her license, so therefore she jumped on their car insurance, and the second that they put her on the car insurance, added $1,600 to the bill immediately.
I
And
mean,
that actually is a cost that I actually had never thought about, and I'm pretty good at the financial picture of having kids because I've really dug into it, and that's one that I never thought of, and I said, "There are probably so many more that I don't think about, even though I know so many of them, and they just keep popping up."
I just feel like it's a raw deal, right? This isn't discussed. It's like you'll figure it out
Right.
mentality,
Right, right.
air quotes. You'll
But the
figure it out,
Right,
and then you get into it, and it costs way more than expected.
right,
Things come up,
right,
everything from leisure to medical to
right.
insurance, you name it.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, you're underwater. And again, I know that's not everybody,
Yeah,
but
but it's
personally,
important to think about
it
and
is.
to have it in the consideration, which we both have done, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with thinking that through and being smart about where you want your financial situation to stand. Now, the important thing is if someone has the passion and the desire to have a child so badly, obviously that's going to override all these reasons we're saying, right? If you're leaning into a child-free life or you are already child free, it's so important to understand that. And I would say at this point, most people have looked at the financial aspect of it. And it's clear that we just don't know what could come up, right? Like they don't tell you when they tell you, oh, you have to worry about your kid's college fund, like you mentioned, they don't tell you about all these other things that can come up. What if you and your partner lose your job? If you're a single mom or a single dad, do you have the support, the financial support around you to move forward in the situation?
Yeah.
Do you, and you're right, all the in between, it doesn't get spoken about. And also the after, because now kids are staying at home. And I think we received this data at some point, either last summer or in the fall, that the age of kids staying at home is rising because they're unable to take care of themselves financially. So it isn't just to the end of college, it's beyond as well. And there's people in their 30s and 40s and 50s that are still relying financially on their parents. So I feel like it's a lifetime commitment.
It's a lifetime commitment. And I know people that talk about that talk about the fact that I wasn't aware it was going to cost this much. And
Hmm.
this is very stressful in my life.
Right. So it's a
And
very analytical approach, right? Like people
yeah,
tell us we're overthinking it. It's just going to work out. Don't worry about it. But we're gonna think about it,
yeah,
and we are gonna worry about
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I agree. And just for me personally, going back to the finances and why it rates so high on one of the reasons why I chose not to have kids is because I'm such a stress filled person. And when it comes to money, that is would be arguably
Right.
leading the race
Yes, and
in
your
things
stress.
that are stressful to
Yes.
most people, I think.
Yeah,
I mean, money's
absolutely. Yeah,
okay, so let's go on to the next one.
yeah. So, rather than going on to the next one, I was thinking because you and I can talk forever,
That's true.
there's, a lot more reasons that I'm thinking about and that we wanna go over, so maybe we wrap this one up, and then how do you feel about doing a part 2?
I'm in. Let
Yeah?
us know in the comments if you want a part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be happy to talk even more.
Bye.
Bye.
By the way, remember that you are not required to give anyone your reasons unless you want to, of course, and are ready to share. Let us know in the comments below which reason or reasons resonated with you and go ahead and share some of your own. If you're interested in finding out why I almost had a baby, watch this video next where I reveal one of my biggest revelations with this choice. We thank you, we appreciate you, and we're excited to see you next week.